Yay Networks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to In the Cards and Stars. I'm your host, Brit Mogensen, and I've got to tell you, I've been waiting for this episode all year long because we are talking about Virgo season. This is the season where I feel like come alive. We all love our own season, right? It's like you just feel like things reset. And so I'm excited to tell you guys about Virgo season and how you can use it no matter what your birthday is. So we're going to get into that in this episode. We're also going to look at a very requested birth chart. I've had so many people DM me, I've even got an email about this, where people want to know about comedian Matt Rife's birth chart. He is a Virgo sun. His birthday actually is the day after mine, coming up this weekend. So we're going to look at his birth chart. We're going to do a full reading on him. We're also going to look at the day that he went viral. You're going to be shocked. I love when we can see the predictions of things happening in someone's chart. You get that confirmation. So we're going to talk about that. And then last but not least, I'm going to tell you guys how to make predictions about you with your solar return chart. It's all about doing a little reset on your birthday and seeing what is going to happen based on where the planets are on the day that you have your birthday, your solar return. It's pretty juicy. So let's get into it. So first of all, Virgo season, here we are. This is a time that I feel like sometimes gets a bad rap because after Leo season, people are like, Leo season, it's like dramatic and glamorous, we're having fun, we're in the spotlight. And that's a great time, right? Like who doesn't love to go to the party? But after the party, there comes like a point where you've got to like put down, the pizza and the fried food, and you got to stop drinking for a second. And you're like, I just want to get my life back in order. That feeling after a vacation where you're like, I kind of overdid it. That's kind of where we're at in Virgo season as a collective. So it's kind of no surprise that Virgo season coincides with like the beginning of the school year. Remember when you were a kid and you would go and like get all new notebooks, a new planner, like it's just that kind of refresh, reset button on your life where you kind of have permission to also look at everything that you've done up until this point. Virgo season is the 6th house. So it's halfway through the zodiac wheel. So that means this is kind of like our point where we're like, all right, I'm going to reassess now. I have done all these things since Aries season. And now in Virgo season, I'm going to like hit the pause button and I'm going to reassess. They always say that Virgo is like the sign that separates the wheat from the chaff or whatever. Like the ancient astrologers, it was all about like Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. So this is our time. This is when we cut off. I mean, it's going to sound a little dramatic, but I'm just going to tell you what we do right now. You cut off what no longer serves you. You take a really good look at things. And then based on what you want to keep, what you think is worthwhile, what you think you can have a harvest with at some point later on down the road, you take that part of your life and the things that are working and you create like even better plans and systems. And I know that if you're listening to this, your eyes are already glazing over because you're like, that does not sound fun. But I'm telling you, once you get into the rhythm of it, you feel good. You're like glowing from the inside out and your life just feels like it's in order and you know where you're heading. It's a good feeling. And I know I'm a little biased, but I do think it's a great feeling. So, okay, that's just kind of like an overview of Virgo season. And we are going to be in this energy all the way until like the 22nd when we shift over into Libra season. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But just so you know, you have this month really, the month of September, to reset, reassess. Also, talking about we have Mercury retrograde. The retrograde started at the very beginning of Virgo season on August 23rd. See, the retrograde's already taken hold of me. Can't even talk. But it's kind of interesting and kind of odd, honestly, that the first day of Virgo season was also a day that Mercury went retrograde in the sign of Virgo. So Mercury goes retrograde in all different signs each time. And so it's like, sometimes if it's going retrograde in like Libra or whatever, it isn't as intense. But I will say the fact that the retrograde is happening in its home sign, one of its home signs of Virgo at the beginning of the season, that really means a lot for all of us. what it tells us is that this Virgo season, even more than other seasons, is a time to take a pause, reset, reassess, and really think and go internal about things. So when a planet's retrograde, the energy basically just turns internal, whereas usually it would be all about like forward movement in that sign. So when you go internal with Mercury, you're basically like you're writing lists, you're journaling, you are probably taking some alone time to hear your own thoughts, you're putting the phone down. This is really a time when if you give yourself permission to do a little bit of, deep thinking, a little contemplating, you'll find that the answers will come to you. I know it sounds so crazy, but it's true because that's really what we're all kind of meant to be doing right now. We're looking at what doesn't work and we're just daydreaming. We're writing brainstorming lists right now. Now, when Mercury is done with the retrograde, so that is going to happen around September 14th. Once that happens, the days following, you're going to be able to start to like implement the new plans. So I would say don't change anything right now. Just a little friendly advice. I wouldn't make any sudden movements right now, but I would just give yourself some time to like think it over, pay attention, write some things down, put it in your notes app. And then when we get to like September 14th, I really feel like we're all going to have a good idea of what we want to start doing that's going to bring us closer to the goals that are most important to us. It's a very individual process. That's very Virgo as well. Okay, so I hope that kind of helped to frame it up. Again, I know it doesn't sound super exciting, but these are the things that we do to allow us to do the more fun things, to flourish, to keep thriving, in later seasons. So it is worth it. Also, before we move on from Virgo season, a couple other things to like really pay attention to. If you have been wanting to like improve your fitness or wellness, anything like health related, Virgo rules the sixth house. So that is all about those, workout schedules. It's all about the routines in your day. It's about eating healthy, organic foods. So if you've been like contemplating whether you want to get a personal trainer or see a nutritionist or, change things up in that part of your life, this is a really good time to start that because what you start during Virgo season, if you do it with like a pure intention and you really put your effort into it, you'll see that it sticks more so than other seasons. So you know what? If you tried like in Leo season, you tried to get back on your fitness journey and it didn't take, I would say give it one more shot in Virgo season, okay? Especially after the 14th, because you'll see that you're going to get that momentum going again and it's going to feel good. All right. So when we come back after this break, we are going to talk about that requested Virgo, Matt Rife. Okay, so everybody wants to know about Matt Rife's chart. He's been having a moment for a while now. And, the thing about him is that not only is he a Virgo, but he really has shared a lot of his journey. So preparing for this, I was watching some different interviews that he's done. I was really like listening to what he said about his career and like his path, his purpose, all of that. And I was like, wow, this guy is such a Virgo. I mean, really, he hits the nail on the head. So let's talk about why he's such a Virgo and let's also look at his chart. Okay, so first of all, he was born on September 10th, 1995 at 7 p.m. in Columbus, Ohio. A very, very wise and wonderful detective TikToker found his information on the CoStar app. I don't know how that works, but they found it. So, and by the way, he also talks very publicly about how in LA, people have always asked him on dates, like, so what's your zodiac sign? And even has a bit about like how much he hates it. So I think it's funny that he has a profile out there because clearly he created one because the ladies were, truly asking him. That was from experience, I think. So that's so funny. But anyway, so if we look at his chart, we look at his life experiences, what he shared, he has been a comedian for like 11 years. And that was prior to having that viral moment where he really like blew up. And I was like so curious to see, what his 11th house looked like, because there are certain things in people's birth charts that will tell you that they're going to have that blow up moment that kind of changes everything. So I feel like the period of his life up until that viral moment that happened on, let's see, it was July 30th of 2022 when he posted that video, he really was kind of on that Virgo path. Like we talked about a little bit ago, it is the hard work. It's making the changes. It's just being like really consistent with like routines and things like that. So for 11 years, he did the Virgo thing where he just kept plodding away, kept working. And a lot of comedians, when talking about him, they've said, we're actually, Bobby Lee, that comedian, he was like, I'm actually really happy to see him doing well. People think that, different comedians might be jealous of him, but most of us saw him come up. We saw him working and sweating for 11 years. And he's a nice guy, so we're happy for him. So I was like, that's really nice, He did that Virgo thing and he put in the work behind the scenes. Now, if we look at his 11th house is ruled by Sagittarius. And tell me why he has Jupiter, the planet of abundance, gifts, and luck, even though it wasn't luck, it was hard work, but you know what I mean, in the 11th house, which is social media, big groups. It's another fame placement. So I was like, that is so crazy. So definitely we have that indicator that at some point in his life, if he continued to do the Virgo thing that I'm trying to impart to you guys, this is kind of like, I guess, part motivational speech. But I'd like to impart to you guys that during Virgo season, even if there are certain things that like are not really paying off right now, this is a time to like recommit to those things. Because if Matt Rife would have quit before he had that blow up moment, he never would have gotten to experience this level of success that he's having right now. So it's just kind of like having that faith, right? That it's going to work out eventually if you stay true to what you need to do. And so watching any of his like videos where he talks about his work ethic and stuff, I think is also pretty inspiring and could be a fun Virgo season pastime. But okay, let's just look at his chart now. So his first house is ruled by Aquarius. So he's an Aquarius rising. So am I. So I was like, I feel like I kind of know this guy, even though I don't. He has his second house is ruled by Pisces. And here is another interesting thing about his chart. He has Saturn in his Pisces second house. Now, Saturn is all about what we work towards that we're not going to see until we've put in an adequate amount of work and basically learned like some tough lessons. So I always talk about Saturn and I say that it's like that coach, that coach that loves you, but it's that coach that's not going to let you get away with anything because they see your potential, right? That's Saturn in your birth chart. So when you look at your birth chart, wherever you have Saturn, you probably already are going to recognize it immediately because you've had these experiences. This is where you've had to work hard. This is where you're still working hard. You're going to always put in effort in this area. But it's also the place in your chart where after adequate effort, you're going to see that there is a payoff. You're going to see that the rewards are going to match the effort. It's a very karmic planet. So to have the second house, which is your finances, it's also your self-worth. To have Saturn there and to know that I was reading an article about how he had I think at one point he was only selling like 70 tickets, which, after doing comedy for like 11 years, he talked about how he wanted to quit right before he like really blew up. Because at one point, I think right before he really blew up, he would sell like 70 tickets maximum to like a show. And he was walking away with like $150. So, I mean, that is, talk about Saturn, the taskmaster, making you in that second house of finances, making you budget, making you keep working hard. It's like, it was kind of like a test, I think. So I just think that's so interesting. I love when the birth chart matches up with someone's life experiences in like such an obvious way, right? Okay. His third house is ruled by Aries. And this is why he's so outspoken and he says what he says, okay? Because Aries ruling your third house is communication with like groups. So I just totally think that's why he's really become known for his crowd work, because the third house would definitely rule over crowd work. Because it's like when you're just talking to people in your immediate environment, it's also siblings and it's also media. So he definitely is someone who speaks his mind. Aries isn't afraid to, say what he really thinks. He's not afraid to just be himself and even like blaze his own trail. Because there are other things that he's said about how he's an introvert or like what he looks for in a relationship, where it does kind of go against the grain of a lot of people in comedy. He definitely comes across more of like a sensitive Virgo. And he just says it, that third house, Aries third house. It's more of a saying, less of thinking. And then he has his moon in the third house. So that also tells us that his emotions are very much tied to what he says. So this is someone who, even though, he writes his material, I'm sure like every comedian, they work so hard on building their set and like continuing to work on it. At the same time, we do know that there's so much authenticity in what he has to say, which is why I think people connect to him, because you can tell that he's really speaking from his heart. So I love that. I mean, the moon is our emotions. So this is someone who what he says is what he means. And it's very authentic. Okay. Now, after we come back, we're going to look at a couple of other placements. And then we're going to talk about what was going on for him on the day that he actually blew up, because you can see his like meteoric rise to fame in his birth chart. Okay. Now, everybody wants to know, of course, about Matt's love life. Oh my gosh. When I was like looking up stuff about him, so much was coming up about like, what do you look for in a girl? All this stuff, because he is known for being someone that, women will like come to his shows where he has just like a huge female audience because he's a very good looking person, all that stuff. But it's so funny. So let's just talk about his relationship houses. He is in a relationship right now. And we see that his fifth house is ruled by Gemini. That's like dating. So, it's funny because that is a very non-committal house. Like, and your fifth house really is about just dating. It's not about commitment. Okay. So he's somebody who, if Gemini rules your fifth house, this is somebody who needs to have variety, likes to have fun, needs to have a mental connection with the person that they're dating. This isn't someone who could really spend time with someone if they didn't have that, Gemini ruled by Mercury, that like ability to communicate, to talk, have like great conversations, but also like do a lot of different things with. Like they are someone who really enjoys, or he's someone who really enjoys like being with someone that's kind of on the same page. It's like really important to him. So it might seem more on the shallow side, but it's actually kind of deep because they go through a lot of people to find the right one. Gemini's all about variety. Okay, then we have the seventh house, which is Leo, ruled by Leo. So this is so interesting because I feel like for him, not only does he look for like, and I'm not saying fame in a negative way, he just is attracted to people in the spotlight, which is possibly related to the fact that he's also in the spotlight, looking for someone who can kind of match his energy or understand what he's going through. But if you have your seventh house ruled by Leo, your relationship will be in the spotlight, most likely in some way. The person might be famous. You might get famous together. Like this would be a great placement for someone who like goes on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. Anything that has to do with like fame, creativity, all the Leo things, that is going to be a part of his relationship. So it's not surprising that he is dating an actress right now. Then if we look at his eighth house, now this is Virgo. He has his sun and Venus in the eighth house. Now the eighth house is all about commitment. That is like a contract or like something that's like very transformative. It can rule the energy of like life and death, rebirth, and the kind of commitments that change us forever. So like marriage falls under there because it's like a contract and you have to like, go through a process to get out of it. It's a little bit deeper than that seventh house commitment. So he has his sun and Venus there, meaning he's going to have a lot of life lessons around deep commitment and sharing his resources. And having Venus in the eighth house is also a very mysterious placement because the eighth house is a little more hidden. So I think that having his sun and Venus so close together in that kind of hidden eighth house of death and rebirth, transformation, I would say he is someone that people are really drawn to in a magnetic way, which explains why he has such a huge audience. But also, this is someone who's going to experience a lot of like transformation through deep commitments. And I don't know, it just made me think of his relationship that didn't work out with Kate Beckinsale. I know they weren't married. They didn't have like any sort of deep commitment that we know of. But I just feel like having Venus there and having that as like a young age, he's like spoken about that a lot, that relationship. I do think it was transformative. Anyway, there's so much here to dive into. If he ever comes on at the podcast, and decides to give astrology another try, maybe we can convince him. But that was just kind of in a nutshell. I thought that was so interesting. Okay. But of course, if we're going to look at his astrology, I was like, I just have to know what was going on Saturday, July 30th, 2022 for him, because it was such a big departure. And this is when I think that Jupiter in the 11th house was activated, because here's what was going on. On this day, I kid you not, I put this into my computer program. So the sun, did I not just say Jupiter, you guys? Jupiter 11th house. Just remember this as I'm saying this. His sun was trine Jupiter exact. Like what? Like I geek out over this. So this is all about good feelings, harmony, putting yourself out there when the sun is trine a planet. So the sun is like your ego. It's also the spotlight on you. Okay. Jupiter makes everything it touches get bigger. So if there's a trine to your sun, it's just the spotlight became amplified. And because his natal Jupiter was in that 11th house of like big groups, social media, fame, all of that stuff, it blew him right up. But also something to note, he took the action that day and he did the post. He posted it. And he even talked about in one of his interviews, he said that he felt stupid posting that day. And imagine if he would have never posted it. I'm telling you, I just think this Virgo season is really all about that energy of like, keep putting in the work. You know what I mean? And we can see that it pays off for a lot of people. You got to just keep putting yourself out there. Okay. Then another interesting thing that was going on for him, Monday, August 1st, 2022. So he said that it was 3 days where he was really experiencing this like exponential growth. So this would be like that third day. And on this day, he had, oh my gosh, his Venus sextile the sun. A sextile and a trine are the best aspects you can ever get. So for Venus, beauty, harmony, the way that you look, pleasant experiences, Venus is like all the good things. For that to be in a positive angle to the sun exact on that day, this is when like it became exact. So it's like, this is a very fleeting influence. So I'm just saying this is so interesting. And this is a great influence for any kind of like group activity and for being in the spotlight, for gaining any sort of opportunity. So Venus and Jupiter in relationship to the sun, really positive aspects. Anyway, I just thought those were some really fun facts. So love that. After this quick break, we are going to talk about the perfection chart. Back up. After this quick break, we are going to talk about your solar return chart and how you can know what's going to be coming up for you. I mentioned that my birthday is this week as well. And you guys, I got to tell you, there's some interesting things that go on around your birthday. When you're having this solar return and all the planets come back into alignment, you'll notice that there are just things that start to happen, right? Like usually it's good things. The universe likes to give us little birthday gifts, okay? But listen to this. All right. So I was planning to spend my birthday here in Kansas City. I even made reservations at my favorite place. If you guys ever come to Kansas City, you've got to go there. It is just like the most beautiful place. Looks like 1920s. It's so stunning. And it's called Pierpont's. I'm telling you, the Mercury retrograde is killing me. I have my Mercury in Virgo, by the way. So it's like a double hit for me. Anyway, disclaimer. But I was going to go to Pierpont's, my favorite spot. It was all planned out. Like I had the plan, I had the reservation. I was ready to go. Well, my brother, he works in the music industry and he just had a song come out with a couple of like really big artists. And he has been just working his butt off. So he is going to be in Los Angeles doing some work. And he's currently living in South Korea. So I was like, I'm not missing this. So I ended up just changing all my plans, canceling everything. And my husband and I were going to fly to LA. And so it's a change up. Now I'm going to be spending my birthday in LA. And I was like, this is just kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like, could this be like a karmic thing? I'm going to check what's called a solar return chart. If you guys take nothing else away from this podcast, please listen now. Your solar return chart is one of the coolest things in astrology. It can tell you so much about the year to come. You cast it from the day of your birthday, your solar return that year, and it's going to tell you about the energy, what's going to be happening for you, what you can expect, opportunities, challenges. Like, it's so accurate. It's crazy. And funny enough, when you change the location that you're in on the day of your solar return, it changes the angles happening in your chart. Pretty much everything else is the same, but the angles are different. And the angles might not seem like that big of a deal, but I'm telling you, I cast a chart for Kansas City and I cast a chart for Los Angeles, and I should thank my brother and be like, this was your birthday gift to me, is me having an actually great year this year, because the difference is shocking. All right, so I'm going to tell you guys about this. This is so nuts. I'm still geeked out. So you want to go to a website. I like to use astroseek.com. If you're like new to that website, just make it easy for yourself. Go to Google, type in solar return chart astroseek.com. Type that in, it'll come up. You want to put all your birth information in there, including your accurate birth time from your birth certificate. That is essential for this. If you don't have that yet, just hold off because you won't get the right info. So put it all in there, and then make sure that you put the location of where you're going to be spending that birthday. Now, you can also do it for like the past birthday. Like if you haven't had your birthday yet and you kind of want to see where you're at right now, you can just put it for like the previous year and where you were. If you're trying to plan your birthday, another little hack, you can put in several locations and then see the chart that's drawn up and see which one looks the best. And I'm telling you, it's going to be worth it. So here's what I found out. I've never compared or done this before just because I've never had kind of a last minute switch up. So if I were to have spent my birthday in Kansas City, basically what happens is you get all this information about like different angles, aspects, and it's going to tell you like, okay, are you activating your Chiron, your Lilith? Are you activating your part of fortune? Like, just, you can see so many different things. And that is going to be the theme for your whole year. So I just want to back up real quick. That solar return chart that you get, the ascendant, like all the information that you read, that is going to be your theme. That chart is the energy you're going to be going through until you get to your next birthday. So, I mean, it's definitely worth knowing and worth looking into. So in Los Angeles, spending it there, I will luckily have my part of fortune sextile my vertex. Part of fortune is like luck and destiny. Your vertex is also about destiny. Part of fortune conjunct Venus, planet of beauty. Fortune sextile Neptune, the higher octave of Venus. I mean, I went through and I was just highlighting away. My ascendant conjunct Neptune, Venus, and trine my vertex. So basically, spending my birthday in Los Angeles will mean that the planets are going to be in position to influence my year in a way that is about destiny, prosperity, feeling buoyant, uplifted. It's going to be a really good energy. In Kansas City, I can't wait to thank my brother. Oh my gosh. In Kansas City, I have Chiron activated. I have my midheaven square my Mars. Guys, it's just such an ugly, ugly situation. And I mean, I was just floored. So here's the thing. I would check this out. It's so interesting to just kind of see what you've been experiencing or what you can expect to come next, and just get all your info in there, draw up the chart, and then just take a look, take a look, see what's going on. It's really interesting to also compare your natal chart with like the placements going on in that solar return chart. For example, if you have any like conjunct planets, you're going to really feel in your element. it's a whole thing. I need to create some more content about this. I'll probably do it on our Instagram that needs some love in the cards and stars, because then you can just go there and like refer to it. But yeah, it's really fun. I love different ways of forecasting the year, and around your birthday, you really do have a lot of opportunities to do that through things like solar return charts, solar perfection charts, all that good stuff. But anyway, you guys, so I am just ready for the fresh energy. Happy to be in Virgo season, ready to, create some new routines, new schedules, and just keep kind of hustling, keep doing that thing, right? So I hope that you guys are having a really good Virgo season. Let me know. You can go to YouTube, you can go to Instagram, DM me if you have questions, leave a comment, I will answer you. And we can just keep getting into this Virgo season grind. I love you guys so much. Y'all are the best. Thanks for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.
Yay Networks.